Better Call Saul Season 6 Episode 8 Ending Explained. Well, it's back. After the mid-season finale aired back in May, Better Call Saul is now back on our screens for the second half of the final season. Following a dramatic mid-season finale where we saw Lalo take out Howard Hamlin in an unexpected turn, in this episode we witnessed the repercussions of the event and the same night unfold in an episode titled Point and Shoot. I thought I'd jump into the episode and explain all that there is to take away from it. So let's get into it. Here is Better Call Saul Season 6 Episode 8 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Point and Shoot was the first episode back after a long break, and it's safe to say that it was extremely eventful. It had a lot to live up to following Axe and Grind, where we saw Jimmy and Kim's plan take an unexpected turn, with Lalo turning up and killing Howard. Episode 8 started out with a shot that was from the scene that we were informed about at the end of the episode. A scene that had been meticulously staged in which Howard's car was on the beach, with his wallet and wedding ring, with his shoes drifting in from the sea, framing his death as though he'd taken himself. And with all that had been going on with his marriage deteriorating like we heard in episode 7, and with Kim and Jimmy ruining his career, it provided a plausible reason for him to do so, and sadly added to the believability of it. Following this, we then cut back to the night of the event where things were only just getting started. We saw that Lalo wanted to get Jimmy to go and take out Gus, the person he had been wanting to take out for a long time due to being the family's nemesis. This was where we got the double entendre naming of the title of the episode, Point and Shoot, because Lalo wanted the weapon to carry out that action to be pointed and shot, but also a camera to do the same, to prove that Gus was in fact killed, so it worked quite well as the episode's name and was a well-chosen one. Jimmy managed to persuade Lalo to let Kim go to the house in an attempt to keep her safe and to get her out of all of the danger that was occurring, showing a side to Jimmy that we rarely see, but without doubt comes out when he is with Kim. Kim arrived at the house where Mike then noticed it was her, and she brought him into the house and asked what she was doing and why she was there. To which she pointed at a random guy that briefly matched the description that Lalo told her and said that she had to kill him. It showed how flawed the plan was from the off, and I believe here is when Mike should have realized that Lalo wouldn't have sent Kim on a whim, based on a vague description to carry out the hit on his worst enemy. But it seemed as though he didn't think like that, and he was lured into the trap of driving off to Kim's apartment to approach Lalo, with many of the men, with the aim of hunting him down there. But by then, we saw that Lalo was long gone, and was in fact watching the laundromat, waiting for them to all leave so he could go in and approach Gus himself. The tension at this point in the episode was almost at its peak. We had Mike on the way to the apartment, Lalo breaking into the laundromat, and Gus now heading towards the laundromat. Lalo had his eyes on the place back in episode 7, so he knew of the comings and goings and how best to get in there. Once we saw Gus enter the laundromat with his bodyguards, we saw them all get wiped out simultaneously, which led to the two individuals that have had their beef for a long time to be face to face with each other, with Lalo having the upper hand. Lalo had his suspicions of the underground lab that was being built there, and he didn't like the fact that it was, so he wanted to check it out with his own eyes, and see it for himself. This was to be the start of his downfall. If you remember rightly, with Gus being the extremely paranoid individual that he is, back in episode 5 of the show, we saw him inside of the underground lab, meticulously placing the weapon, working out how many paces it would be to reach it, and also loosening the power supply, almost predicting that this day would come and planning the eventual events that would unfold, and how it would pan out. And to my surprise, it went exactly how it was planned. We witnessed Gus give off a Nacho-style speech on how he resents the Salamancas and that they all fell because of him, before he carried out the plan as he wanted to. He broke the lights, took several paces to the location of the weapon, and then fired it. It was a moment that I didn't expect to happen, and I didn't expect it to go so well. We heard the sheer panic by the continuous firing after the rounds had emptied, and the heavy breathing that continued. Gus had got past the fear that lay within him, and took out Lalo Salamanca in the most epic of ways. It was a moment that was everything it had always promised to live up to if the two were to ever meet again. We saw Mike say how things could have gone differently, and how he wasn't happy with how things went, and that Gus shouldn't have gone off and played detective without knowing that Lalo was going to be there. But I feel Gus always knew that he would be there. He'd planned for the occasion and knew that if he were to encounter Lalo, he would have his best chance of surviving there. Gus was extremely paranoid, and all he ever did was think about it, so I feel that did give him the upper hand slightly. Following this, we saw Mike head to Kim's apartment where both Jimmy and Kim were reunited, where Mike informed them that Lalo would not be returning, and where he then proceeded to talk them through exactly how things were going to play out, and how they now need to pretend as if nothing had ever happened. It's the deepest Kim has ever gotten into a situation like this, and this moment cemented the furthest from the original life that she had. The very story that they were setting up for Howard to ruin his career is the story that they've now set up for him to take to the grave. We saw that throughout the entirety of this, Kim barely looked away from forward, not even looking at Mike, just blankly ahead, showing how broken she now was. It's going to be interesting to see how the pair move forward from this, and if they're going to be able to stick to the lies that they're inevitably going to have to tell. The final scene that we had was of Lalo and Howard being buried in the underground lab and sharing a grave, a rather haunting moment that showed the victim in all of this, Howard Hamlin having to be laid to rest with his murderer, a reminder of how cruel things can be in the world of Better Call Saul. The victim of Lalo and Jimmy and Kim getting the respect from nobody, other than Mike when he told his henchmen to go easy as they carried him. We saw the blank expression on Mike's face as all of this was happening, and I just couldn't help but think that he was thinking about his family that we saw a couple of episodes previous. This was a subtle reminder that innocent individuals can get caught up in the wicked games that occur, and that he participates in, and that he may well have seen it as though he could one day be burying them. This episode was a great way for Season 6 to pick back up after several weeks off air. Although it wasn't intended as an episode that would bring a return when written, as scheduling caused the break, it certainly contained everything that was needed to land with impact, and prove itself as one of the best in the entirety of Season 6. Lalo Salamanca was a formidable, evil individual who'll go down as one of the show's greatest characters. It's a shame that he's gone, but we can most certainly appreciate the time that we had with him. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next week in episode 9, where we're going to have to see Kim and Jimmy deal with the repercussions and potentially a newfound Gus. So, there you have it. Better Call Saul Season 6 Episode 8, Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos on Better Call Saul such as Endings Explained, character breakdowns, and theories and predictions, then click on the I button, or alternatively you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review on the channel, then head over to my Twitter, @BrainPilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of Season 6 Episode 8? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.